All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunday watch list. Crazy week last week. But now all of the big news is out of the way. FOMC is out of the way. All the big earnings are out of the way. This week, to start off with economic data, we don't really have anything major other than like PMI Tuesday, 6:45 a.m. Crude oil inventories Wednesday, initial jobless claims Thursday. And then that's pretty much the big news coming up this week, right? So as far as that, we're pretty much good. Now, let's do a quick recap of pretty much what happened last week, right? Essentially we've been on this uptrend for a very, very long time now, and we had a bearish engulfing here. A bearish engulfing literally engulfed one, two, three, four, five, almost 6 days. One candle engulfed 5 to 6 full days, right? And typically after a bearish engulfing like that, I would expect some type of pullback and then we get that move lower. But we just showed so much weakness after Thursday, after those earnings, and we failed to go higher. Meta and Microsoft sold off, FOMC, non-farm payrolls, everything, right? Everything had a big impact on it. So we got a major sell-off. And you know, to prepare for next week, we kind of gotta understand the areas we're currently at. And if you guys remember back at the beginning of July, this was the range we were in. So we were in this range from July 3rd, 626, down to 618, 626, 618, 626. So we were back and forth in this range. And then once we broke it, we started that, very aggressive uptrend. But now we're back in that range. So 626, 618. What could happen? Probably something similar, right? Overall, we are showing a lot of weakness. So these are the scenarios, okay? Scenario where we're currently sitting at right now. There is a major demand zone here. So any type of bounce in this demand, we can take it back to 626, and that's an amazing play. It's like a $6 plus move. So any type of hold here, there's gonna be levels in between the range, of course, right? If we want to grab them, it could be like 624, it could be this 621 area. There's probably more, but those are the main two that I see. So those could be levels inside of the range if you're going to be trading inside of the range. Now, just in case we need a bigger pullback, yeah, we obviously have a gap fill here, right? To the upside. Just in case we get a bigger pullback and buyers do step in aggressively here, which is always something we got to be prepared for, right? Back above this 626 for SPY. If this supply demand reclaims, then we will now start having room to 628, 630, and potentially even 632. Those are the zones to watch to the upside. Well, the top of the gap fill is 630. So let's just go with 630, just in case we do get a push higher. That's very possible, right? We could get that push higher and then we get a bigger reject, because we are extremely, extremely oversold here. But the last scenario, and the one that I may think may play out is, I mean, we're showing a lot of weakness, guys. I don't know how aggressive that bounce will be, but if we don't get an aggressive bounce and it's like a light bounce and then it makes a lower high, and then we take out 618, this is a scenario that will be amazing too. Down to 615 and 611. I think we start getting some relief maybe around 611, 610, or if not around, I think around that area, around the 600s, right? That's where I see us getting some relief. We don't know how long this sell-off could last. Um, and we'll see how aggressive it really is. But yeah, 615 will be like my main target. We are sitting in demand right now. We're sitting in an area of demand. So let's just be aware of that and keep all of those scenarios in mind, right? Okay. So bounce at demand or break and hold under demand, we got room to 615, potentially 611. Bounce at demand, room to 625, 630. Simple as that. Just being aware of the areas we're trading in. Same thing with Qs. My chart looks crazy. Actually, not really. It's just all these levels in the middle. It's the same thing as SPY though, as literally SPY, right? The range we were trading at back in the early July, right? We got a major sell-off, and you guys could see what happened here in July. 551, 557, 551, 557, 551, 557, so on and so forth, right? So that's the range we're currently in right now. So that's how I have to look at this range right now. We are what? At the bottom of the range. What happens at the bottom of the range? Buyers step in and they take it to 557. So that's scenario one. If buyers start holding this up, I will take it to 557. Above 557, then we can start pushing back to 560, and above 560 is very bullish because that is that supply here, demand, supply. If we reclaim that, that's where the gap fill starts into 564. So just in case, right? The last scenario will be, so first scenario is bounce here up to 557. Scenario two is reclaim 557 into 560, 564. You can also get rejects off 557. The last scenario, which is the one I may think may play out if we just show weakness, is below 551. We got room to 550. And below 550, it gets aggressive down to 545. Okay. That is the potential scenario. Also, I really like that. I think 545 will get retested. And I'm ready for that. I actually think that's a great move. Of course, a pullback would be great, and having time on your side on something, if you get a pullback and you buy with time, you're gonna catch a nice move. So let's be ready for that. I really, really like those setups. Be aware of the gap fill just in case. That SPY and Q is probably gonna be my top, literally. These are gonna be my top watches for the week. Aside from that, an individual name that I really, really like is Tesla. We took this on Friday for 40%. It tried reclaiming 300. And now here we are again in the aftermarket trying to break 300. So breaks and holds under this 300. It gives us room to 295. 295 it's about a $5 move. And if it gets under 295, 290, 289. That is going to be my top watch, mainly because it's been a pennant for a very long time. And we're breaking that third trend line touch. 1, 2, 3. Here we are breaking it. And the psychological level of 300. That's a demand zone from July 24th. The next level isn't until 295. Okay. That is my favorite individual name. Other than that, I like Apple too. Apple showed a lot of weakness after earnings. I want some type of pullback, maybe like 205 or 208. Any type of pullback to 205, 208. I would look for that move into 200, or if it just shows like literally just weakness below 200, gives you room to 195. A potential bounce at 200 is possible too, just because of how aggressive a demand zone is. So you guys see I have like multiple scenarios. I don't just, it's like being extra prepared. And you got to read, it's not just being extra prepared. You got to know how to read price action when it approaches your levels. That way you know which scenario to take. That way I know, should I be taking the bounce here? Should I be taking the break under? And you don't get faked out is learning how to read price action. Meta's at a major demand right now. That previous all-time high, 748, right? We broke it through earnings. Here we are getting the retest of it. If Meta bounces here, this could be a great play. If it doesn't hold it, 737 is next and 726 is next. So either way that goes, Meta has opportunity. Similar with Microsoft. Microsoft was a lot weaker than Meta. It still has a little bit more room to fill the gap, but this is a bounce level. Microsoft is approaching bounce level, which is basically the previous all-time highs. 516, 516, 17, 517. It's like 518, 516. I'd watch that whole zone for a bounce. If Microsoft doesn't hold that, expect 510. That's if we just get majorly weak, you know? We may get some relief, we may not. It all depends on price action and how we approach our demand zones, right? Google is also looking very weak, like it has room to 184. So keep an eye on it as long as it stays below 191, 190. NVIDIA, let's get into semis. NVIDIA is back under. Let's look at the daily real quick. Daily candle's not that bearish, right? It's kind of neutral. Let's keep a close eye on NVIDIA at this supply 175, 174.6 area, 175 area for rejects, or a break and hold under 171 gets us to 169, 170. Pretty simple for NVIDIA. AMD also starting to show some weakness. I think it's just a healthy pullback on AMD. AMD overall has been very bullish. I think it's just a healthy pullback, and I think the pullback could really take us to the 164s before we get another bounce on AMD. So I'll keep an eye on that area, 164 for a bounce. How would I take it into 164? As long as it takes out, as long as it stays below this 175 area and it keeps making lower highs, we can short it. Below 167, I mean, it's a decent move to 164, right? It's just taking out that low. Um, that could be decent too. As far as my favorite setups, guys, is SPY, QQ, and Tesla. Those will be the ones I really focus on. These are just some of the names that, to keep an eye on also, right? But other than that, guys, that's gonna be the Sunday watch list. Short, simple. If you guys want to watch me day trade every single day, Monday through Friday, 2 lessons a week, I do have a code August for 25% off if you guys want to check that out. We trade futures and options daily. So, other than that, I hope you guys have a great trading week and yeah, let's see what we get this week. Peace.